Hello, my name is Joe Jameson. I'm a private pilot. Just completed my check ride a couple days ago. Um, I've been using AvareX throughout my training, as well as for my private pilot check ride, and I think it's a great program, and it worked extremely well for me up to this point, and I plan to continue using it into the future. Um, what is AvareX? AvareX is an electronic flight bag. Most people are more familiar with ForeFlight or Garmin Pilot. Those are the fancier paid for subscription services. In contrast, AvareX is very simple, runs on all devices, is 100% free. There's no ads. This app was essentially built by volunteers, I believe, and all the maintenance and everything just goes off donations. So it's quite an amazing thing. Um, So let's get into it. Right when you download the app, you'll just go to your Play Store or whatever your app store is on your device. Um, and like I said, it works on all devices. It'll work on Apple, it works on Android, works on Linux, works on PCs, you name it. So it's wonderful having one app that kind of does everything the same. But once it's all downloaded, you'll open it up. That's the app on kind of the bottom middle here, the blue airplane um, with the X on the side. So you click that and it opens up to kind of terms of use. You'll scroll through there and hit sign. The next screen lets you choose a light or a dark mode. That's just your preference. Next one talks about internet and GPS. Initially setting it up, you will need internet, and you'll need internet to download updated charts and whatnot. But while you're actually flying, you can put your device on airplane mode if you want. Everything works just as good. Um, it also is able to connect to ADSB inputs. I use a Stratix. I'm not sure about compatibility with other devices, but I do know it accepts both Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, such as the Stratix, and I'll talk a little bit more about the Stratix later on. You can select units for miles per hour versus knots, whatnot. This next page, it'll have you click download. You'll want to download the areas where you plan to fly. You always have to download the database, and then you'll want at least the sectionals and chart supplements. You can choose whatever else you want. And go back. That's pretty self-explanatory. You'll learn how to do that real easy. Next one is just a warning. If there's an exclamation mark in the corner of your page, that means something's not working right. For me, typically it's just been the GPS is turned off on my tablet or something simple like that. And you turn the GPS back on and it goes away. Next one is just basic information about layers. There's lots of layers you can turn on within the app. The more you turn on, the more processing power it takes. It might just kind of slow things down, make it a little bit less fluid. So as many layers as you can keep off is the better. It's able to file flight plans through 1-800-WXBrief.com. You do have to go into 1-800-WXBrief and make an account with them first, and then you also need to go into permissions and give Avare permission to file a flight plan through you, essentially, or to coordinate with them. But works super simple, filing flight plans as well. And then they want you to join the forum. It's a very supportive forum. They're happy to answer questions that come up. they're happy to receive input on wishes or suggestions for improvements of the app, and often suggestions will be fixed in future updates. And it's been being updated fairly regularly, which is very nice to see. All right, and that's the end. So you hit down on the bottom right, and that'll take you to your map. So here we go. We have kind of a blank screen. It says I need to download the north central chart. So we're just going to hit center here, go where I have charts downloaded, where I'm located. I'm based out of McCall, Idaho, KMYL. Basic map screen here just has your sectional, shows the airplane within the sectional, shows your wind direction with that little black line. And then you have some circles here that I have turned on. You can turn those off or on. I kind of like them, but they're 2 miles, 5 miles, and 10 miles away. Kind of helps you with calling out your position as far as where you are in relation to other things on the map. Across the top of the screen, you have a banner of information. All of the pieces on the banner up here can be moved around. So if you want to move your ground speed over, you'll just kind of long press on it, hold it down, and then you can slide it to wherever you want to put it. If you want it after your altitude, you can put it there, and it'll stay there. It'll remember that it lives there. Across the top, though, you have your altitude, your ground speed, magnetic track, your previous and next waypoint, and those are also buttons. I learned that the other day, so you can click previous and it'll jump to the previous waypoint, or you can click next and it'll jump one waypoint at a time, and just keep going until you run out of waypoints. Distance to your next waypoint, the bearing to the next waypoint, estimated time of arrival at the waypoint, estimated time en route, vertical speed, your uptime. You can click that, it'll start a count up. It also automatically starts counting when you take off, which is very wonderful. And then you have a down timer. It's just set at 30 minutes and it'll count down from 30 minutes. To reset, double tap real quick and it resets those. UTC is your universal time. SRC stands for source. That's what it's using for a GPS essentially, or other data. So if I had my StratX turned on, the source would turn to external versus internal, and that's how you can verify of what GPS it's using. And then flight might be the one that starts automatically. I forget, I have to go fly again. Other than that, on the left side of the screen you have what's called a tape, essentially like a tape measure. As you zoom out or zoom in, the scale will change and it'll give you increments of, right now it has 0, 30 miles, 60 miles away. And that's just a way to generally see how far you are, what the scale is, where you're zoomed at. Let's see. On the very top left, if you want that top heading to change size, you can click the little down arrow and expand or contract it, make those displays larger or smaller. All right. You can open the menu up here. Menu has it's very basic, just common items you will need. Charts are only good for so long. They're continually updating as new things are added or taken away. So you'll have to go into downloads and download them periodically. I believe it'll give you a warning if your charts are expired, and they'll turn red within the download menu here once they've hit their expiration date. Um, Back to the menu. The next one is documents. Your user data is going to be all of your flight plans that you have within here. So you can hit share. You can send that to a Google Docs file or a Drive file, or email it to yourself or somebody else, and then they just when you receive it, or if you want to transfer your um, flight plan to another device or whatnot, you'll just hit import on top, and then you'll find that user.db file that you saved. You'll click that, and it'll load up all your flight plans and everything. Back out of there. Um, Besides user docs, you also have a bunch of your weather docs that are taken from aviationweather.gov. Um, you have your prognostic charts, your significant weather, your air mets, surface forecast, clouds forecast, winds and temps. They're all easy to look at here. Unfortunately, you can't swipe between them. You have to just exit out or go hit the back button on your device. But nice, convenient, easy to read. Back into the menu, you have aircraft. You can store multiple aircraft within the app. To add a new aircraft, you're just going to erase your information there, put in a new tail number, so we'll say XXXX, and you'll go down the bottom, hit save, and now we have 2 aircraft up there. If you want to delete it, just click on the one you want to delete, and then go to the bottom and swipe on the delete button. That gets rid of it. Now there's just the 1 aircraft. For checklists, you can make checklists. You have to make them on a just a simple text format, and your first line is going to be the title of the checklist, and then every subsequent line is one of the items on the checklist. So I have multiple checklists here for the Cessna 172 that I fly. You can just click it. You can check the boxes. You can click on the opposite side of the screen, just anywhere within that row, and it'll check the box. So it's fairly easy to do. Go back out of there. Your weight and balance, you have to set it up a little bit and enter your arms and weights of things, but it'll calculate your weight and balance for you if you enter things in there. I/O is if you're trying to connect a Bluetooth device. I don't know how to do that because my device is via Wi-Fi. So, but to use the Stratix, you just simply turn the Stratix on, connect to its Wi-Fi, and it'll automatically find it. And that SRC on top will turn to external, and you'll know you're getting data from it. Some other things to note on the Stratix, we can go down to the bottom right here. These are your layers. If you turn your traffic layer on, even if you're connected to the Stratix, you may not see any traffic. With the ADS-B data, it's only going to display any aircraft that's plus or minus 3,000 feet of you in altitude, or within 10,000, or I'm sorry, within 10 nautical miles. So within 10 miles of you and within 3,000 vertical feet, um, it'll show traffic. And it'll also give you auditory alerts, which is super nice. You can connect your headset if it has Bluetooth to your tablet or phone, and it'll give you audio alerts, tell you what direction aircraft are in, and keep updating you as far as where they're going, how close they are. Um, the center button, kind of bottom middle. Say you're zoomed way out. If you hit center, it'll just center you. If you hold down center, it'll zoom you into that degree of zoom. Um, and then even if you're way zoomed in close, again, hold down that center button. It'll zoom you out to the same display size. Just a little trick I just learned playing around with it. If you want to measure distances, you can click the little compass or caliper down there. It'll turn red, and then just kind of a long press on a point on the map, and it puts a circle with an X, and then long press your second point. I'll make a second circle with an X and show you how many nautical miles and what the bearing is from point to point. It'll keep adding more and more points and just show you between the last 2 points you did essentially. To get rid of all those, just hit that compass again, they all go away. The next button is your orientation of your map. I keep it where it's pointed north versus the direction I'm flying. The next button is for your waypoints. If you turn it on, it's essentially like a rubber banding feature. You can hold and drag around waypoints wherever you want. I'll go in and load a flight plan here real quick. So I hit plan on the very bottom, that squiggly line with the 2 dots. Go to actions, here's some flight plans I have. So I'll do McCall to La Grande, Oregon. You can load it forwards or reversed or delete it. So I'll hit load there. That loads up my waypoints. And then we go back to the map on the bottom left. And you can see we now have a flight plan. It'll show you your runways at your next waypoint. So I'm just flying over New Meadows there, 1U4, but it has runway 14 and 32 if I needed to land there. But with this, with the 3 arrows on the bottom turned red like it is right now, I can touch and drag and move these waypoints wherever. It takes a little bit of practice to know just how long to touch, because if you do too short of touch, it won't grab it, it'll just move the map. And if you touch too long, it wants to, well, it's working pretty good right now. Sometimes it wants to just add a new waypoint. If that's turned off, it'll definitely try to add a new waypoint. And you can just back out of there if you don't want it. Let's see. You can click the waypoints and it'll do direct that waypoint. So you can see on the top with that brown line, if I'm going straight from where I am to La Grande Airport there, it'll give me all that information of how far it is away, what the bearing is, how long it'll take me. And then you can hit the previous button and it'll jump back waypoints or forwards for with next. Let's see. Some other things. There's a little drawing pad, which is the little pen symbol down there. You can just draw with your finger or a pen if you have one to erase. You have a little eraser on the bottom, and it'll erase the whole line you drew. If you want to save the note, you can save it with that little floppy disk symbol on the top right. And then that just saves to your documents. This other screen is essentially the imagery it's showing. So you can select different sources, go to an IFR map and look at that. I usually just keep it on the VFR sectional because I am only a VFR pilot currently. Back under layers, you have all different layers. Again, try to keep as many turned off as you can. These are kind of the ones I usually keep turned on. So you have your navigation that shows your route. If you turn that off, your route goes away. The circles is the circles that's around your airplane, the 2, 5, and 10 mile circles. Show that. And you can make these kind of fade out, be more transparent or less transparent. The chart is the sectional. You can also turn on the on-screen map, which is just kind of a simple like Google map. Shows you major roads and whatnot. Open AIP, I think is just kind of airports. Turn that off. Topographical map. As you zoom in, it'll give you more detail. Zoom in here. And it'll give you your contour lines and the exact elevations and all that. Just like any topographical map. Turn our chart back on. Weather will turn on your METARs and TAFs. The TAFs are the multiple circles. The METAR is just a single green circle. So there's your METAR. Very easy to click and read. There's the TAF. You can look at the date it was received, date and time. It'll also pull weather from your Stratix device if you have one of those, or other ADS-B weather. Radar, pretty self-explanatory. If we zoom out here, we can see the big picture of the radar. There's not too much going on in our area right now. Temporary flight restrictions. Sometimes these take a few minutes to show up, so just be patient if you don't see them right away. I usually just kind of, if I don't see anything, I'll zoom way out, and there should be something somewhere. So I'm not sure there's ever 0 flight restrictions within our country. There's always flight restriction for something. So we'll zoom into our area here. So this orange circle here, you can click on the clock on it. It'll tell you what time the internet was received, what the top of the restriction is, what the bottom is or low. So this one goes from 0 feet to 10,000 feet. And the date effective is September 3 to September 17. It'll also pull TFRs from your ADS-B device as well. I usually keep the TFRs on. It's a good thing to have on. Plates, I don't use those too much. That'd be for more IFR sort of things, I believe. Traffic. We talked about traffic some. You can turn it on or off there. If you see traffic and you want to know their exact altitude or whatnot, you can click on it and it'll give you a little more details. Obstacles, I haven't played with obstacles too much, but supposedly it'll give you a visual warning if you're below the elevation of an obstacle that you're about to hit or close to elevation. I'll have to go try that one out and see what exactly it does. Tape measure is just that scale on the side. I find it nice to leave it on usually. And then you got your GeoJSON, not entirely sure what that one is yet. PFD. PFD works okay if your StratX is plugged in, but it's a little bit less than smooth. Kind of jumps around somewhat. You could probably fly off of it if you really had to, but with the StratX anyway, if you just go into the StratX kind of setup page, it works a lot smoother. And then you have your tracks. Tracks will just show everywhere you've gone, leave a trail for you. When you're done laying a track, slide it all the way to the left, and that prompts it to save the track, and it'll save it into your user docs. Let's see. On the very bottom, you have 4 symbols. You have your map, your plates, your flight plans, and a search function. So the map is where we are right now. You can hit plates here, and we'll pull up a plate for my local airport here. And this plate is also geo-referenced, so it'll show where you are on this map if you're within that area. You can also open up other sorts of plates on the bottom left, so the chart supplement or airport directories, and pull that up to find additional information. And then it also has like your RNAV approaches and whatnot. Go back to that one. And then on the right bottom, it just has your recently looked at ones that you can quickly jump to other plates and whatnot. Flight plans. So I have a flight plan loaded here from MYL to LGD, or McCall to LeGrand. It will automatically put in your airplane airspeed. You can change that as needed if you're going to plan on cruising faster or slower. You can put in your gallons per hour, your altitude that you expect to fly at, let's say 6,000 feet, and then your expected departure time, so we'll say 12 hours from now. If you hit the fuel pump, that'll give you a very nice breakdown. This was super convenient for making my VFR flight plan for my check ride. It breaks everything down nicely, so you have your from and to, your altitude, your true course, variation, magnetic variation, magnetic course, your wind correction angle, magnetic heading, your distance to, ground speed, time, and fuel consumed. On the bottom, it just has like a terrain profile. It looks like there's one point in my route that 6,000 feet wouldn't be quite enough to clear. So I might need to raise my cruising altitude to maybe 7,500 feet to make sure I make it over all the high points there. Or it might just be a little peak you fly around the side of it. Once you have your flight plan how you like it, you can go to Actions. You can save it and name it whatever you'd like. Um, and you can load a saved flight plan. So we can load that and then go back to Actions. If you want to file and brief, you can hit brief and file down there. That pulls up this screen. You just go through. It'll quickly populate most of the required information. If you do leave something blank, it will not file it. It'll give you headaches to some degree. Also, another thing I hope they might change in the near future is how the time works on here. But currently, the time works by you'll enter your local time. So if I want to leave at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning, so I can get my weather brief for 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I'll change the date here. Go to September. Actually, I think it already went. Or you can hit +1 day. And then if you go 8 in the morning, now when you hit the next column, so I'll hit 94, populate that, it'll change it to Zulu time. So that kind of confused me for a while. But you do need to enter your local time and then it'll convert it to Zulu. So 8 a.m. local time equals 1400 Zulu time in McCall, Idaho here. We're in Mountain Time. And then you can hit the button there to get an email brief. And it takes just a few seconds and it'll send you an email with all your weather data, your NOTAMs, everything you need for that flight. If you want to send it to the FAA, you'll hit the Send to FAA button. That'll take a few seconds to load. Green check mark means it's sent. That doesn't mean that you've departed though. So to actually depart, you'll go to Manage. And then you see there's this proposed flight plan. And so we'll hit Depart on the right there when we go to take off. And that'll activate the plan. I'm going to hit cancel on this one because I'm not actually going there right now or anytime soon. That's about it with tricks with the flight plan right now. Oh, I did add a flight plan that's completely blank. So if I'm on here and I have this flight plan, this is a fairly simple one, but if I want to just get rid of it, you can swipe left and it'll delete waypoints. Or you can go to Actions and I just activate this blank flight plan and that clears it immediately. Gets rid of everything. Let's see. For the search function, you have to search the airport identifier, I believe, at this current time. Hopefully they add support for just searching like a town name and have suggested airports pop up or something like that. But right now you just type in the airport name, so you can do KMYL, and that pops up the McCall Airport here. Then you can hit plus plan, add it to your plan. You can look at the plates, or you can hit the D with the arrow next to it, and that'll put you direct to there. When you select an airport, it has the frequencies that you'll need for that airport, as well as runway lengths. And a sunrise sunset time. Along the bottom, when you're in the screen to add a waypoint or whatnot, um, you can look at the METAR there. That pops up the METAR and TAF. You can look at NOTAMs. And that'll pull up NOTAMs for the current airport you selected as well as those surrounding. Um, you look at the wind data. And that's for that particular location. And then main just takes you back to this main page. Some other nice search functions. You can hit nearest. Say you need to divert somewhere, you're having an emergency, and it'll pop up your nearest airports. If you need a longer runway, you can hit nearest 4K. I believe that's going to be the nearest runways with a 4,000 or more foot runway, or a 2,000 or more foot runway. And we have CamWhale up there still, so that needs to be empty for that to work. So there's nearest 4,000, so we can go to Cascade. Yeah. Let's see, I'm trying to think of what I'm missing here. Overall, very smooth functioning app. It works seamlessly across multiple devices that I've used it with. I'm currently using this iPlay 60 mini tablet. It's a nice size for flying in a small airplane. It's about an 8-inch screen, has decent battery life, has a built-in GPS. You could even, it has a spot where you can put a SIM card if you wanted its own data. I usually just make a hotspot with my phone if I need data on the tablet though. What else? I think that's about it for now. Feel free to put any questions in the comments below. I'll put a link to the apps for AV website. That's the website for AvareX. And from there you can easily get to the forum, search the forum, look at other people's questions. If you have questions, it's always good to use the search function, and somebody else has probably already asked the question that you're about to ask. You get the answer that way. Anyway, thanks for watching this. I hope it helps you out, and safe flying. Bye.